This week we're going to talk about prejudice, stereotyping, and discrimination. This is really the core foundation to this course, and so I hope that the slides that are presented this week will give you an idea of some of the really important concepts that we'll be discussing throughout the semester. I pulled this quote from the book. I think it is a really important thing to think about as we go through the course of the semester and talk about things that might be difficult to talk about. It says there's a consistent inconsistency between what we say we value and our actual behavior. I hope that you'll think about this quote as we learn about hidden racism and hidden discrimination. Often we like to say that we act a certain way, but when push comes to shove, maybe we act in ways that we wouldn't necessarily want other people to see. So I just think it's an important quote to remember as we kind of move forward. There are a few key terms that I'd like you to keep in mind. The first one is prejudice. Prejudice is what we typically think of as a prejudgment. It's usually negative about a person or a group of people. It usually involves an attitude and can involve hatred, dislike, or contempt. Now, the way that prejudice can be distinguished from discrimination, the third term here, is that typically when we think of prejudice, we think of an attitude, and discrimination, we think of an attitude plus an action. But I'll get to discrimination in just a minute. I skipped stereotype. Stereotype really is a term that originated in the late 1700s and referred to a printing process that was created to create reproductions in print. Obviously that meaning has shifted over time, and now it really means mental reproductions of reality. A stereotype typically involves making overgeneralizations about a group, attributing certain attributes or characteristics to an individual just because they are members of a particular group. Now, not always, but most of the time, stereotypes are negative, and they're really hard to change. So think about the stereotypes that you know in your life that maybe are stereotypes about you, the group of people that you come from, or stereotypes that you may hold about other people. Okay, finally, we're getting to the term discrimination. Again, this is an action that puts members of a group at a disadvantage. It involves treating people unfairly because of their group membership. And there are a lot of different kinds of discrimination, but two that I want to bring out right now are personal discrimination and institutional discrimination. Personal discrimination would be acts of individual discrimination. So, for example, a manager at a restaurant who doesn't hire Jewish employees because she doesn't like people who are Jewish. She has a prejudice against people who are Jewish, and so she discriminates against them personally. Institutional discrimination is a little bit different. This is where there are policies or overarching practices that are carried out by organizations or institutions that systematically discriminate against groups of people.